views and opinions expressed by the following program and its participants are solely their own opinions and do not represent the opinions of DMS Broadcasting and their respective stations.
The Cayman Islands Health Services Authority's general practice and public health clinics have relocated to Smith Road Medical Center. At the new location, you'll receive top quality care in a comfortable, modern space, enhancing your patient experience. Do you have flu-like symptoms or other non-emergent illnesses or injury? HSA's new urgent care walk-in clinic is now open at the main hospital campus. The new general practice location is for appointments only. For more information, call 949-8600 or visit hsa.ky.
Health Services Authority is now offering online payment options for patients. Patients of HSA can now pay their bills, including deposits, towards scheduled services online at payments.hsa.ky. The secure, new online payment system accepts debit or credit cards and is in addition to the available payment options of cash, check, and online bank transfer. For quick, easy, and secure payment directly from your phone or computer, visit HSA's new online payment system at payments.hsa.ky.
At the Health Services Authority, we want to keep you informed about the latest developments that impact your health because your health matters to us. Join us each Friday and Saturday from 1 to 2 p.m. as we cover health news, offer advice, and answer your questions on Healthcare Today with HSA.
Welcome to another episode of Healthcare Today with the HSA. I'm your host, Chuck Taylor. Each and every Friday and Saturday, we get together and talk about all things relating to your health. And this one, we want to talk about World No Tobacco Day and what that means to the Cayman Islands for 2024. And I have some wonderful guests in the studio with me this afternoon. Good afternoon to you. Please introduce yourselves to my listening public.
Good day. I am Rosemarie Bailey from the Health Services Authority, and I'm a pharmacist there and working with the public health on the tobacco cessation program, I Can Quit. So one of the facilitators as well as one of the pharmacists at Health Services Authority.
Hi everyone, my name is Tamara Whorms-Riley and I'm the community dietitian with the Health Services Authority in the Public Health Department, and I also work with the smoking cessation program, and we deal with the nutrition part of the I Can Quit.
So the theme of World No Tobacco Day, give me a broad view about that, and then let's talk a little bit more about the program. And because, you know, I want to say this has been one of the forerunners, because, you know, tobacco in the world is one of the biggest killers that lead to so many inherent health problems. And so if we can stop smoking, we can eliminate the treads to all these other health concerns. So let's talk about the World No Tobacco Day and the theme of that.
Okay, so it's the 31st of May, and the topic or the theme is Youth Step In and Speak Out, #Tobacco Exposed. So the focus this year is just the youth, really, focusing on creating that platform for young people all around the world who are urging the government to actually shield them from predatory tobacco marketing tactics. Because recently I was listening to something, I think it was on BBC, where they're actually having some companies market even these vaping electronic e-cigarettes. They're marketing that behind the scenes because they're so colorful and they're so full of flavor, and it's not a highly regulated market. So they're using all sorts of tactics to kind of deceive the young people. And so what they're seeing is that the industry is actually targeting the youth for a lifetime of profits and creating new waves of addiction for the children using the e-cigarette. And we're seeing a higher rate of usage. Especially, it's estimated about 37 million youth aged between 13 to 15 years using tobacco.
Wow.
And you know what is unfortunate about it, as you rightly say, they have all these cool gadgets that they're using. it's even deceptive. And again, unfortunately, it's here in the Cayman Islands. It's very deceptive because they're able to use these nice pens.
Mm-hmm.
They put them in the shape of a pen, and they're beautifully colored. They also use them like pocketbooks.
Yeah.
So it looks like a wallet. So which teacher is going to stop a child from taking their little billfold or their little wallet to school? And if it's a pen, it's just there on the desk.
You don't realize what it is.
And because of the nice fruity flavors and smell, you're not aware. And, unfortunately, there are some very harmful chemicals in these e-cigarettes. And having the nicotine is there as well, but some of them have like THC,
arsenic.
Arsenic.
They have a ton of stuff.
They have a ton of stuff as well, and we would say that the jury is still out on it because we can't say that it's a better thing instead of using the cigarettes that persons are accustomed to. And even in our public health in the Cayman Islands, we do not advocate for persons switching to the e-cigarette or the vaping. So we're right up there. Yes, it's focusing on the youth this year, but we are also worried about our adults who are getting so addicted to these.
Trying to say that it's a weaning off to use.
So they're
to use
weaning
that.
off and wanting to use the e-cigarette to help them stop.
Right.
But from get-go, this program started 10 years ago. So we're 10 years old, and it was like June 2014 that the program started. And what happened is that for the whole time from the start, it wasn't such a fad with the e-cigarettes. And from get-go, our position was we don't know so much about these vaping machines. We don't know so much about these e-cigarettes. They say they're supposed to be a safer alternative, but get-go, we were saying we're focusing on stopping vaping completely, not even cutting down. Even with the cigarettes, it was not a cut down, it was stop. So our program is aimed to help you stop.
Exactly. And I think that is the ultimate goal, because anything that you have to do is like that is an addiction, folks. You can sugarcoat it. I watch, because I have I have two teenagers. One is entering into that. He's a young boy entering into the teenage. So, I sat down and I was like, he was like, he saw one of his friends. He was traveling, and one of his friends in another country was vaping. And he was like, I said no to it, but I said, good, let me show you. So we watched a video on how they make these over. And I think don't quote me on it, but I do believe it was in China. It could have been another country, but I do believe it started in China. And literally when he looked at it, he was like, that is so unsanitary. That is nasty. You don't know what these people are putting into it. You don't know if they're tasting it or spitting. You have no idea of what it is, because a lot of these packagings don't even say where they come from.
Exactly.
If you just look at it from a standpoint of, okay, if I buy a carton, and folks, I'm standing on my soapbox. If I buy a carton of milk, that milk has to tell me where it came from, its expiration date, what vitamins, whatever is into it. Most foods or most things that you intake have that information there.
Should.
These do not have an expiration date. They don't tell you where they come from. You don't know who the manufacturer is. If you get sick or die from it, who's to say where this thing came from?
Right.
There's no regulation onto it. So from my point of view as a parent, as an adult, saying, hey, that alone would make me not want to use anything, because I don't know, I have no acknowledgement of it's a cool, beautiful color, strawberries, candies, and they have a cool name, watermelon ice, latte,
Yes.
At the end of the day, it's still smoke. And anytime I see smoke is not good for you. If a house is burning down, it's smoke. It's not good for you. If you're smoking, anything that's producing those types of things that you're smelling and sniffing, it is definitely highly susceptible and not good for you. And that's just my soapbox I'll stand on. and I'll turn it back over to the ladies.
Right.
We're going to take our first break, folks. We're talking about World No Tobacco Day. We're just getting into the theme of it. And before we go, if we can just repeat the theme, because it's really geared towards our younger folks, but then we want to include everybody into it.
Okay, so it's youth step in and speak out. Hashtag tobacco exposed.
We'll be right back. Keep it right here. This is Bobo 89.1 FM.
When you have a sports or fitness-related injury, trust the expertise of the HSA Sports and Exercise Medicine Clinic to get you back in the game. Our internationally trained and certified physicians specialize in sports traumatology, sports medicine, pain management, and orthopedic surgery. For treatment of common injuries such as tendonitis, arthritis, tennis elbow, rotator cuff, or knee tears, schedule a consultation with the Sports and Exercise Medicine Clinic at Smith Road Medical Center by calling 949-8600 or visit hsa.ky for more information.
The Health Services Authority's new pharmacy is now open at the Smith Road Medical Center. The new location features a large, comfortable waiting area and ticketing system to improve the patient experience. All uncollected prescriptions and refill requests previously submitted will now be available for collection at the Smith Road Pharmacy. Request your refills online at hsa.ky via WhatsApp 925-6534 or call 244-2715. For more information about our pharmacy hours, visit hsa.ky.
HSA's cardiology clinic is now located at Smith Road Medical Center. Our cardiology team provides expert care and treatment for heart conditions such as coronary artery disease, heart failure, arrhythmias, hypertension, congenital heart diseases, among others. The new location offers state-of-the-art cardiac diagnostic testing, including echocardiograms, ECGs, and stress tests. To contact, call 949-8600. At HSA, your heart matters to us.
At the Health Services Authority, we want to keep you informed about the latest developments that impact your health because your health matters to us. Join us each Friday and Saturday from 1 to 2 p.m. as we cover health news, offer advice, and answer your questions on Healthcare Today with HSA.
Welcome back to Healthcare Today with the HSA. I'm your host, Chuck Taylor, and I have with me Miss Rosemarie Bailey. And I have Miss Tamara Whorms-Riley with us. We're talking about World No Tobacco Day and also the program that we've introduced. Now, you said it's been 10 years since we've been doing this wonderful program. Talk to me a little bit about the program and in the different levels as it relates to basically stop smoking.
Okay, so let me just share a little. The name of the program, as we've been mentioning, is I Can Quit. So it's the I Can Quit Smoking Cessation Program, and it's really designed to help persons quit tobacco. And as I mentioned before, we're not cutting down, we're not moving to vaping, we're quitting. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the focus is on the quitting and the whole getting rid of that dependency, but we're not focusing on just allowing the clients to get rid of it on their own. We're offering the support, and that support is from medical professionals. It's a group of us, and the meeting is dedicated to supporting. And what is really done, each session follows the same general guidelines. We have a smokalyzer that we use where we test for the carbon monoxide levels, and we do weight checks, blood pressure checks, and also there is a recap each time about how are they doing. You know, we have like a round table, and so we talk and we find out how each client is doing each week, how they're progressing, and it's a whole lot of learning and sharing. And basically the persons who are involved, we have the general practitioners, we have the nutritionists, we have the psychologists, the psychiatrists as well, the pharmacists, we have a certified tobacco treatment specialist, and the administrative personnel. And I would just pause here to just put a little plug in, because our administrative personnel is Sarah Frederick. And if you'd like to register for this program, anybody from the community who is smoking is eligible. All you need to do is have that willingness to quit. So it's Sarah Frederick, and she can be contacted at 244-2889.
That, I think, is a great start for it, because You mentioned a lot of healthcare professionals that's invested into this. And I'll just be devil's advocate. Is it that hard to stop smoking?
Yes, it is. It is. It's because it's an addiction. And so because put it this way, smoking is no different from being addicted to another form of drug. Mm-hmm. So if you're addicted to a drug, it becomes difficult for you to withdraw from that drug. There's always a sensation that you need to go back to it. And so it is just as difficult, if not equally difficult, as quitting any other drug that you may be addicted to. And so it is important to take the various steps that the program offers so that you can fully quit rather than just partially. We want you to cut down, but we also want to get to that point where you feel like you're there and you can do without this product.
And with that being said, I would like to ask, to help quit smoking, talk to somebody, get some mental stability there. Then health wise, because all of a sudden, you may gain weight because you're eating more.
That's right.
To try to compensate that, or now your blood pressure level may be spiking up because you're not. So there's a lot of moving parts to make sure the person is mentally and physically healthy.
Yes.
In cutting down the smoking.
That's true. And research has shown that yes, because smoking gives your body a false sense of higher metabolic rate, it triggers you to be slimmer. Doesn't mean healthier. That's a problem. And so you get more health benefits from quitting smoking rather than the 5 or 6 pounds that you may gain initially when you're quitting smoking. And so there are steps that you can take when you find that you are becoming more susceptible to consuming more calories. And so you can take the necessary precautions when it comes to that by choosing the foods that you are eating more wisely. And that's why we're here to discuss this with you when you come into the program. So we see where your baseline is at. And so because of that, we help you to formulate a program that can help you to make the right decisions when it comes to food so you don't end up gaining more weight when you're trying to quit smoking.
They always say, knowledge is king. And so the key components in the structure of I Can Quit program, what are they based off of? So that we can have an understanding. You started talking about when you come in, you get your baseline. So you get what you get measured, you get weighed, you have that conversation. So you can kind of have an idea of where the person is at the beginning of it.
All right. So I give you a little bit more with the overview as well. So the major objectives is to identify person's current smoking patterns. We also identify and acknowledge their own reason for why they want to stop. So you notice the range of persons, health professionals who are involved. And as we say, that psychological component, and that's why we have the psychiatrists involved and so on. So we're identifying and acknowledging the reasons why they want to smoke and why they want to quit smoking, and also identifying triggers and encouraging persons to stop smoking and to develop strategies to help conquer these issues. Learning how to cope with the withdrawal symptoms, and that's where the pharmacist comes in. That's where I help them, because we have the nicotine patches that we use. We also have a drug that we use, the bupropion, so that helps with controlling the moods and so on. And we also use the lozenges to a lesser extent because we don't have that on our formulary, but if it's needed, we do use, and also the inhaler. So different things to help them to support individuals to stop smoking. So we don't want them to go cold turkey, because that's where we have the issues with the withdrawal, and they start with the flushing and the headaches, and then of course they relapse because they don't want that feeling, and so they go back to getting these cravings, and so they go back to the nicotine. So this is why we're there. So we're helping them in a physical way. Our nutritionist will say a little bit more on that, but also we're helping with the smoking cessation aids. And I focus on the aids because it's not that they're going to be on it for a long time, because persons will come in and they will say, well, how comes I want to stop smoking and you're giving me nicotine? I'm not so keen on this and so on. But we just say, this is just to segue into helping you. So you're not going to be on these patches for life. It's just for a time T, and then you're going to now be tapered off. So we start like from a 21 milligram and we go down to 14, depending on the number of cigarettes the individuals are smoking. Then we go down to 7 milligrams. So they're tapered off. And we usually use a double pharmacology. We use 2, like the patches along with the gums, or we use the patches along with the tablets and so on, so that they get good coverage. And nobody have to be worried about, that I'm going to be really increase hunger and now putting on more weight and having to have more foods, more sweet foods, because now the craving is going to be different, because you want to satisfy that center of the brain, and so you're going to be wanting chocolates and so on. But this is just basically to help. So there, as I say, smoking cessation aids. Go ahead.
No, I'm listening to you, and from what you're telling me, you have really tailored the program almost individually for each person. When you talk to them, you figure out where they're at, what their needs are, and you basically treat them specifically, rather than saying, okay, here's a big brochure for everything that we do. This is what we have. These are our 15 steps we want y'all to follow. Y'all really cater individually to each person to make sure that their success rate is as high as possible.
That's right. That's right. Because once they come in, there's an assessment that is done, and we also look at their comorbidities. So whatever other issues they're having, whether it's diabetes, hypertension, having issues with depression or whatever. So we take everything in consideration for that individual. So it is an individualized care. So although they might end up getting similar smoking cessation aids, we still take their individuality into consideration.
And that also springs into the nutrition side of it.
Yes, and initially, as we discussed, because the smoking keeps your metabolism at an artificial high, when you stop smoking, this high tends to fall. Your body now returns to normal, and your ability to burn the calories tend to slow a little bit. And so within maybe 3 or so months, you find that you might start to gain a little bit of weight, and that's where the importance of nutrition comes in. So we want to make sure that you try to improve your appetite. And so we discuss, how can I improve my appetite when I quit smoking? We look at your eating habits. Were your eating habits good when you were smoking, or was it bad? And so if it wasn't really a good eating habit that you had initially, we look at how we can improve this by providing you with ideas for things that you can use for snacks. So for instance, we talk about, especially in the meetings, we talk about things that you can use for snacks. So we look at things that you can walk around with, such as the hand-to-mouth gesture kind of foods. So things that you can have handy, such as carrot sticks or celery sticks or fresh fruit and water. Certain foods make cigarettes or even nicotine taste bad, while some foods enhance the taste. So things like alcohol or caffeine, red meats and so on will enhance the taste of the nicotine to people who smoke. And so we usually encourage them to stay away from some of the group meetings that they usually have with some of their other friends who may smoke. If this is a place where they go to drink coffee, or just to eat certain types of foods, we usually recommend that they stay away from this type of group for a little while until they're able to be a little bit stronger on their own. And then we encourage them to consume more foods that makes the cigarette taste a little bit bad, give it a bad taste in the mouth. So things like oranges or oat, things like water will make nicotine taste bad in your mouth. Other things like drinking tea. Certain types of tea, like chamomile, certain herbal teas, will make nicotine taste a little bit off to you. So we usually encourage people to change their eating habits when they're thinking about quitting smoking. And what we also realize too is that when the craving comes on, It's more of a craving for sweeter things. So it's almost like your brain have a little switch over, because the nicotine tells your brain something different. And so when that switch is turned off, the craving for a certain sweet, because your taste now has returned. So it's not a bad thing that your taste has returned, but because your taste is so much more enhanced, you find that you're starting to crave things that are sweeter, things that are more salty, and so you start to pull towards those things. But guess what? You start to gain more weight because of that. So we usually encourage people to understand that it's not a bad thing that your taste is bad, because with nicotine you have certain taste default where you are drawn to certain types of food and you tend to eat less because it gives you a false sense of filling, and it also gives you a false sense of high metabolic rate. So when all of this is gone, you're more whole now. Your senses are back, your sense of smell, your sense of taste. It's almost like it's a new horizon that opens up, like you're wondering, what is going on? I didn't even know that a piece of cake could taste this good. And so you find that people are starting to crave more cakes and more candies and more burgers. Like, oh my God, the taste of fries is so good right now. Good. Exactly. So it's not a bad thing that your taste has come back. But what we want you to do now, we want you to curb that taste. So it's put it this way, we're not telling you that it's not okay to sometimes indulge, but we're telling you it's because of what was happening to you before why your taste bud is so much more open and your palate feels like it needs all of these things, but it really doesn't. And so we encourage that you slowly move into some of these foods, but we want you to start out with the healthier foods that makes nicotine taste bad in the mouth.
And that's really, as old as I am, and mind you, I'm not a smoker, so it wouldn't be something that would really fall into my wheelhouse. But for the fact of you telling me that certain foods enhance the cigarette taste and the cigarette smoking, and certain foods detract from it, I think a lot of people, once they hear that, then they kind of put one and two together, say, oh, that's the reason why I like this so much, and that's the reason why I gravitate to this. And when I'm out with my friends and I'm having a steak, I want to go outside and have a cigarette, or those types of things. People, I don't think, realize how closely all of these things are related. And once you understand it, you're able to say, okay, you know what, I'm going to stick a pin in this right here so that I'm not falling into that trap or falling into that relapse scenario of it. And that gives me a better, as we say, a betting fighting chance to kick the habit, to get it completely away from it. I've seen some people, out and about, and they're like, oh, I'm going to smoke. And the person is like, no, I'm trying to quit, and it bothers me. And they're like, okay, I understand. Then I've been around people who says, oh, it doesn't bother me at all. I quit, 5 years ago or a year ago, and it doesn't bother me, But most times people will remove themselves.
That's true.
Because of, just being courteous. So it really relates to your kind of interaction with people and being aware of it. I think that is one of the biggest things, if you're around like-minded people, you're more than likely willing to go that route. Once you decide, well, you know what, I'm going to quit for this reason. We talked about reasons. Are reasons important to kind of verbally say or mentally be aware of why I want to quit smoking? If people say, oh, my wife is at me and she wants me to quit, is that really a good reason, or because I want to quit? Tell me a little bit and how that works within the program.
I think it is relevant and it does help. But if you backtrack a little, what I mentioned before, that the only thing that is required of an individual who wants to come to the program is that willingness. So it's important that you have a motivation of yourself. But we have seen persons in reality who have come because the wife is at them, because they're having a new baby, so they do have different reasons, and also for health reasons. And then when it gets to that stage, that's when it becomes a matter for self, and they're now looking, and those are the ones who are usually very successful in the program. So it has to get to that stage. No matter what grandma says, auntie, wife, or anybody, whoever is encouraging you, yes, but they have to be on board, especially if you're living in a household with them, because they'll have to help you get rid of the cigarettes. If they're smokers themselves, then they need to know that it cannot happen there, because once you smell it, it could be a trigger. And as you mentioned earlier, with somebody on the bike and it's looking cool, and they use young persons, sometimes they use a young pretty lady or whatever, and then they're showing this and you're watching, and they say, oh, that's cool, let me just go ahead and smoke. So it does affect you. So if it's around the home, everything needs to clear out, and everybody has to be on board on the same page that this is what you're wanting to do. But it does help.
Yes, and I also think it's important, especially for our younger generation now. We know that with the advent of the, globalization and the internet and everything, I think one of the things that they are not using it for, they're using it to see what's cool about the whole thing. But I also think that they are so overwhelmed with the information about it being, oh, this is so cool, everybody should do it. But some of them are not looking towards how the negative impact that it can have on them in the long term. And as you were talking about your young children, I also, have this discussion with my children as well. And one of the things is that they understand and they have done their own research about how negative this can be to your health overall. And so I know for a fact that with children understanding the negative impact, really seeing the consequences. I used to always use this as an example to some of my younger children. I said, when my children were younger, I mean, I'm not using this, but I'm just using it as an example. Whenever they come to the hospital and they would pass and see people at dialysis, they would say, why are they there? I'm saying, I'm not sure, but there are various reasons why people could be there. And so I would explain some of the reasons why people would end up there. My baby saw somebody the other day and one of the person was amputated. He's 4. He's saying, why does that man have one leg? I told him some of the reasons he could have one leg. And I think it is important that you try to avoid vaping, smoking, and even using nicotine.
Right. And I think that's a great way. We're going to take a break right now, but I will tell you this, folks, before we get out of here. Chewing tobacco, some in a lot of cultures that is almost a norm. It is still nicotine. It is directly related to you. It's still the same. Smoking, all of these things, they are detrimental to your health. We're going to take a quick break and come right back. You're listening to Healthcare Today with the HSA, talking about the World No Tobacco Day, which has happened on May 31st. We're going to be talking about our 10-year anniversary with our program right here, which is I Can Quit Smoking Cessation program, which is free to the community. We'll talk about that and come right back.
Health Services Authority is now offering online payment options for patients. Patients of HSA can now pay their bills, including deposits, towards scheduled services online at payments.hsa.ky. The secure, new online payment system accepts debit or credit cards and is in addition to the available payment options of cash, check, and online bank transfer. For quick, easy, and secure payment directly from your phone or computer, visit HSA's new online payment system at payments.hsa.ky.
When you have a sports or fitness-related injury, trust the expertise of the HSA Sports and Exercise Medicine Clinic to get you back in the game. Our internationally trained and certified physicians specialize in sports traumatology, sports medicine, pain management, and orthopedic surgery. For treatment of common injuries such as tendonitis, arthritis, tennis elbow, rotator cuff, or knee tears, schedule a consultation with the Sports and Exercise Medicine Clinic at Smith Road Medical Center by calling 949-8600 or visit hsa.ky for more information.
The Health Services Authority's new pharmacy is now open at the Smith Road Medical Center. The new location features a large, comfortable waiting area and ticketing system to improve the patient experience. All uncollected prescriptions and refill requests previously submitted will now be available for collection at the Smith Road Pharmacy. Request your refills online at hsa.ky via WhatsApp 925-6534 or call 244-2715. For more information about our pharmacy hours, visit hsa.ky.
The Cayman Islands Health Services Authority's general practice and public health clinics have relocated to Smith Road Medical Center. At the new location, you'll receive top quality care in a comfortable, modern space, enhancing your patient experience. Do you have flu-like symptoms or other non-emergent illnesses or injury? HSA's new urgent care walk-in clinic is now open at the main hospital campus. The new general practice location is for appointments only. For more information, call 949-8600 or visit hsa.ky.
HSA's cardiology clinic is now located at Smith Road Medical Center. Our cardiology team provides expert care and treatment for heart conditions such as coronary artery disease, heart failure, arrhythmias, hypertension, congenital heart diseases, among others. The new location offers state-of-the-art cardiac diagnostic testing, including echocardiograms, ECGs, and stress tests. To contact, call 949-8600. At HSA, your heart matters to us.
Now back to Healthcare Today with HSA and our host, Chuck Taylor.
Welcome back to Healthcare Today with the HSA. I'm your host, Chuck Taylor. Each and every time we get together and we talk about all things related to your health. And this time we have our World No Tobacco Day, which happened on May 31st this year for 2024. And I have with me Miss Rosemarie Bailey, and also Tamara Whorms-Riley. And I want to ask you again, just tell me the broad view of the theme for it, because this really is a theme, I think, that hits home for our younger generation, because people who, I say this and I've known people who says, I've been smoking 40 years, I've been smoking for 20 years, I've been smoking for 15 years. That started young. So let's talk about how we can impact our young people to get started on the right foot of not smoking, not being enticed by it.
Okay, and I'm just sharing the theme again. It's youth step in and speak out. Hashtag tobacco exposed. Also, the public health department will be getting in on this. They're going to be going out with the school health program to help to promote it some more in the schools and making our young people more aware, because sometimes we feel that they're not so involved, but from the looks of it, they are. Okay. And so it's really a good theme. Yeah. It's really a good theme for this year. And then I will share with you a little bit about the outline. But
I wanted to add some handy hints to avoid weight gain when you're quitting smoking. So certain things such as swapping your snacks. If your usual snacks are high in fat or sugar, swap these for healthier options such as carrot sticks or celery sticks, low-fat dip, or a piece of fruit or plain popcorn. The second thing is to be prepared. Plan ahead for cravings by having healthy snacks with you that are ready to go. Preparing and freezing meals in advance will also save you money and time. Try to add some exercise to your plan. Adding or increasing the amount of activity in your normal routine may increase the amount of calories that you burn per day, and this could help you to avoid weight gain. Try to keep yourself busy. Keep your mouth and your hands occupied by chewing sugar-free gum or fruit or carrot sticks or sipping on water. Don't do a crash diet. Although it might be tempting to skip meals or make radical changes to your diet, this will not help you to lose weight, or it will not help you to maintain your current weight. But in the event of this, you may end up gaining weight. So what you want to do, you want to avoid withdrawing from foods immediately. But what you can do is have regular healthy meals throughout the day, especially breakfast is a better way to prevent weight gain. You want to be patient with yourself. Be aware that it takes up to 20 minutes for your body to recognize that you are full. So wait a while after a meal or a snack before you start eating anything more. Make sure to drink water. Carry water with you to drink instead of having soft drinks or things like coffee or caffeinated beverages, because these things, because they're highly caffeinated, they can start to give you that false sense of nicotine withdrawal as well. You start to feel jittery, you start to feel nervous because they also increase your metabolic rate.
Okay.
Make sure to have something fresh in your mouth, such as brushing your teeth or eating mint or drinking hot mint tea. This can help to keep your mouth fresh and the nicotine scent out. Your experience is important. Make sure that you have a mindful experience of what you're eating. Think about the taste, the texture, and the enjoyment of food rather than just grabbing and going all the time. Also, be realistic. It is okay to gain some weight, so do not be discouraged. Weight loss and quitting smoking both takes willpower and commitment. If it is difficult to manage your weight, you can always speak to us at the HSA. We have 2 other additional dietitians. So remember, it is something that you can do. You can quit. It just takes a little bit of a willpower.
And I think that's a really great, because a lot of people don't think of all the additional support that they can have to help, because they think, oh, I'm just going to wake up tomorrow and I'm going to quit smoking. And, I'm just, and they don't realize that because it is a drug, even though, the world doesn't consider it a drug, everything that you have talked about and everything that you slated to me just now sounds like a drug. It sounds like a very highly addictive drug. And therefore, based on that, you need help to break the cycle. You need to have a commitment, as we said earlier, and also be able to do the steps to help you move towards it. Which brings me back to our celebrating the 10-year anniversary of the program. If I'm listening right now and I'm thinking, you know what, this hit a nerve, I want to stop. How can I reach out to you and help this and start to get involved with the program?
Right. And as you mentioned, that 10 years means 10 years of dedication, 10 years of commitment to this program. And when and where our meetings are held, the program is conducted twice a year, February and June. And so just within the time of World No Tobacco Day, then it just segues into the program. We did have a year that we actually started on World No Tobacco Day because it was a Wednesday. So it will be this coming Wednesday, the first Wednesday in June, that we will start. And each session runs for 7 weeks. And within that 7-week program, the meeting starts at 5:15 in the evenings and goes on till about 6:45. But of course, we're there. Persons sometimes want to talk a little bit more, but the official time is 5:15 to 6:45. And you would contact the Public Health Department. As I said before, it's Sarah Frederick, and she will register individuals who are willing to come on this program, and that is now acknowledging a willingness to stop smoking. And it's 244-2889. 244-2889, and it's for Sarah Frederick. There's no cost to the persons participating. The program is funded by the Public Health Department, and therefore it's free of charge to the participants. And so anyone wishing to quit smoking, feel free to be a part of this program.
So all of the aids, everything that you guys have put together for the consultation, all that's free.
All that's free, and all the facilitators, all of these, the psychiatrist, dietitian, everybody is free.
Wow, that's really incredible, folks. I will tell you, I've traveled overseas and I've seen, some private clinics, even some public clinics around the world, and they charge thousands of dollars for. I don't know how deep their program is, but just to get involved in their program, there's a consultation fee. There's literally thousands of dollars. I've heard from various people that thousands of dollars were spent on programs, and they weren't successful for whatever reason. But just to think that we have it here free of charge, and we've been operating it for 10 years, that's in itself very impressive and incredible. So kudos to all of the team and the staff for getting on board and working so hard for the community.
Right. And there's just something I want to say so that they have an idea of what happens, because like as I mentioned, it's 7 weeks. So in week 1, it's basically just getting to know us, getting your baseline, as we mentioned before. So there's guidance and there's orientation and overview of what happens in the program. Week 2, we go through understanding what this habit is about. Week 3, your motivation as an individual for quitting. Week 4, we share more, delve a little deeper into strategies for quitting the smoking. And somewhere in there between week 2 and 3, because of course week 1 we have to do the assessments and so on. Week 2 and 3, then we find out what is the suitable cessation aid for you. And week 4, I mentioned strategies for quitting. Week 5, we actually go into developing the actual skills of getting into the new habit. And in week 6, then we'll have our nutritionist come in, and she will share now how do you cope with these withdrawals. And week 7, we talk about relapse and prevention, because yes, the program is very successful, like about 99 or 90% quit rate, and we do follow-ups as well. But what we do have is that the occasional person will come in, they will have slip up, and some of them will have relapse. So we also give you tools to cope with that, and we encourage persons. We don't say that, oh, you're not successful and we don't want you in this program anymore or whatever. We do facilitate you another time around and encourage you once more, and the support is always there, because we know that things happen.
I think that's really great. We have to be realistic about it and realize that, as we say, we can put all of the best efforts, but there may be something that triggers, that something happens, but we're still here to continue on and fight the good fight, to do it for the right reasons and continue on the right path. We're going to take our last break and come right back. You're listening to Healthcare Today with the HSA, talking about World No Tobacco Day that happened on May 31st. And we're going to come back and remind you how you can get involved in the program, and also just ask the ladies to wrap up before we get out of here.
The Cayman Islands Health Services Authority's general practice and public health clinics have relocated to Smith Road Medical Center. At the new location, you'll receive top quality care in a comfortable, modern space, enhancing your patient experience. Do you have flu-like symptoms or other non-emergent illnesses or injury? HSA's new urgent care walk-in clinic is now open at the main hospital campus. The new general practice location is for appointments only. For more information, call 949-8600 or visit hsa.ky.
HSA's cardiology clinic is now located at Smith Road Medical Center. Our cardiology team provides expert care and treatment for heart conditions such as coronary artery disease, heart failure, arrhythmias, hypertension, congenital heart diseases, among others. The new location offers state-of-the-art cardiac diagnostic testing, including echocardiograms, ECGs, and stress tests. To contact, call 949-8600. At HSA, your heart matters to us.
Now back to Healthcare Today with HSA and our host, Chuck Taylor.
Welcome back to Healthcare Today with the HSA. I'm your host, Chuck Taylor. Each and every Friday and Saturday at 1 p.m., we get together and talk about all things relating to your health. And also this time talking about World No Tobacco Day. And also the theme of basically taking a look at our young kids, because they really are, I would say, under siege from big tobaccos. I would say by alcohol and tobacco, but we're focusing on tobacco, but it's completely, our children are at risk.
Yes.
So the best thing that we can do is equip our kids and let them know the dangers and the pitfalls of it. And that means having a frank conversation. And it could be today, it could be tomorrow, it could be because you're listening to the program right now. You had that conversation with your child or niece or nephew or cousin about smoking and e-cigarettes and things of that nature.
Yes, and I'm so happy that you mentioned about the age, and it was just so funny when you ask about, if they look at an ID or so. Now, what you realize is that because of some of those stipulations not really, being adhered to, you find that children are having these things younger and younger, and because their brain is not really at an adult thinking level, you find that they think this is something good. And what these things does is that it brings your brain to this level of euphoria, a sense of false happiness, and then when it disappears, you fall into this level of depression. Hence our huge issue with mental health in our children these days as well. And so we really need to make sure that we tie these things together to let our children know that these things, even though it may make you feel happy initially, when it starts to die down, or when that feeling starts to go away, you start to become depressed. And so what we want, even when it comes to nutrition, we want to advise people, even when they join the program, that there are foods that can also help to give you that euphoric feeling as well, and it doesn't have to be unhealthy foods.
Right.
So we have these types of discussions: what foods are best to use when you're trying to quit smoking or even quit nicotine altogether, and how these foods can give your brain the same level of happiness and euphoria that actually doesn't die down and bring you into that state of depression.
Right. And I think that's a really, really great point for us to understand that, there are coping mechanisms. There are ways to deal with that feeling of, something is missing from the food doesn't taste right. So because remember folks, most times people who have been doing this have been smoking for quite some time. And it's the norm for them. How do you break the norm? It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of effort. And takes a lot of support, and that support comes from, hence the program. Let's quickly reiterate about the program.
All right. So again, the program is twice a year, and a new one is coming up starting next Wednesday, and we start at 5:15 in the evening and go on until 6:45. And this is over by the Hibiscus Room in the HSA. All right. And once you reach out to Sarah at 244-2889, she will give you all the details and she'll register you. But just before we finish as well, I just want to mention again that our theme for this year for the World No Tobacco Day is Youth Step In and Speak Out. #Tobacco Exposed. And as I said, even though we're focusing on the youth for World No Tobacco Day, we are still accommodating our adults, in the program. And the youth, they have a different focus because the public health, the school health aspect of the public health, they will be reaching out in the schools. But when I looked at the flyers for the World No Tobacco Day, I noticed that the youth, they were carrying and they were focusing on age group 13 to 15 because these are the folks that are, most affected. Also, we can put it to 11 to 15 because a study showed that in 2018, it was like about 6% of persons using the electronic cigarettes. And now another study came out in 2021, and that had increased to 9% of persons using the vape. And some of the flyers were saying like fight against flavored tobacco and fight the flavors hook kids. Tobacco should not be sweet or cheap, and kids want candy. Big tobacco wants customers. So who do you think are attracted to flavors?
Right.
Yes. And you did mention earlier, and we say that, it's not just the nicotine that's there. There's CBD in there from the marijuana.
Yeah.
They're putting this vitamin E acetate, which normally vitamin E is okay on its own for your skin and so on. But what is happening is that with these products, it's getting into the lungs. It's not going into the stomach. No, it's getting into the lungs and affecting individuals. And for one, in children, your lungs are still developing. And so you are now at risk. You mentioned, yes, it's a gateway. Because if you have nicotine there, you've never been exposed to it before, and you're wanting that feel-good feeling, then you might even segue into using the actual cigarette. So,
True.
you know, I am a lifelong learner, and I'm, always learning. And I learned about this EVALI, and EVALI is e-cigarette or vape product use associated lung injury. And what they have found is that persons are showing up to the ER, the emergency room, or urgent care, and they're having issues with their lungs, and they're presenting with fever, spitting blood, and different things suggesting that it could be pneumonia. But when they do further tests, they're not seeing any signs of pneumonia. There's no bacterial component. There's no virus, so there's no viral component. And looking deeper, they're understanding that is because what is unique is that they were all vaping, right? So this is where this EVALI comes from, and it's affecting persons, and they're seeing that what they'll have to do, admit them, some amount of supportive care, because once they start the antibiotic and they find that there's nothing growing there, then they're realizing that it has something to do with what they're vaping, right? So it's a whole new world out there, and we don't want our youth to get involved with this.
It's important to know what you're consuming, and if you don't know what you're consuming, just try to avoid it.
Right.
Very true. Very true.
Right. So we don't know what the long-term effects are, and that's why they say the jury's still out on it. Is it better to vape? Is it better to use the cigarettes? We're saying say no to both. So we're wanting to have good health as well.
Ladies, thank you so much. Our guest today, Miss Tamara Whorms-Riley, our community dietitian from the HSA, and Miss Rosemarie Bailey, our clinical pharmacist from the HSA.
I'm a trained clinical pharmacist.
Oh, you're a trained clinical. Thank you so much. Trained clinical pharmacist from the HSA. Thank you so much for stopping by here today. And folks, this is just one step. World No Tobacco Day. We want World No Tobacco Year. We want it to be without standing. So please, 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 if you are in that valid decision and you need some help, please reach out to us right here. Our friends over there at the HSA, they can definitely help you on your journey to stop smoking completely. Ladies, thank you so much for stopping by here today.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
At the Health Services Authority, we want to keep you informed about the latest developments that impact your health. Join us each Friday and Saturday from 1 to 2 p.m. as we cover health news, offer advice, and answer your questions on Healthcare Today with HSA.